Nintendo Switch has inherited DNA from each of the many hardware systems Nintendo has released to date. The Nintendo Entertainment System included 2 controllers in the base system. Game Boy made it possible to bring video games out of the home. Super NES added the X and Y buttons and the L and R buttons to enhance the fun. Nintendo 64 offered the world's first analog control stick, and it introduced a rumbling controller with the development of the Rumble Pack. We put a handle on Nintendo GameCube so it could be carried around. Even at that time, we were considering a home game system that you could take with you, but it seems we were a little too soon. Nintendo DS added a touchscreen. With the Wii Remote, motion control became possible. And the Wii U gamepad enabled you to play games off the TV. And now, Nintendo Switch has inherited all of Nintendo's entertainment DNA, and we have packed each and every one of these features into the system. Nintendo is constantly pursuing new forms of entertainment to bring more fun and more smiles to the world. And the new entertainment we will present in 2017 is Nintendo Switch.
All right, gamers, geeks, and other delinquents from the outer realms, it's time for the Gamers in Beta podcast with Captain Mike M.
That is a travesty of the highest order I've ever fucking seen one.
Featuring assorted co-hosts, J Maniac 17.
What the fuck was that all about?
Corey Atwood.
It's not my fault you guys all have shitty taste.
Sean Quicksilver 3355.
Well, maybe you should look it up.
And Joe State.
That game sucks, dude.
All right, so this weekend, the wife and I took my daughter, she's like 2.5, to this place called Billy B's. Have you ever heard of it? It's in Kingston.
Billy B's, never heard of it.
It's like it's like one of those like indoor playground park things. It's essentially like a giant hamster cage for children. It's like this huge thing with like all these crazy slides and it's all indoors. It's all like netted in. I don't know. I've seen places like this popping up. But it's this giant thing, and so we took her to that, and she's only 2.5, so we can't just like let her go into it because there's all these other kids running around. So when you go into it, you have to like go with her. I have to like walk behind her because I have to help her up over the thing she climbs over and stuff.
Right.
So we did that today, and I have to pause the story because there's a complete side note that definitely connects back. But just tell me, this does have to do with my story. Are you what kind of underwear do you wear? Are you like a briefs guy, boxers guy, boxer briefs? What do you do?
I'm totally 100% in the boxers camp.
Me too. That's what
I don't like anything hugging my thighs or my balls. I want to be totally free and dancing.
Totally, I'm totally on board with you there. I've been straight boxers since like the 4th grade. Since like I started going to the locker room and getting embarrassed about my tighty whities. I'm like, fuck
right.
this. So I've always been straight up boxers. Well, lately I've realized that I'm starting to kind of run low on boxers. My boxers are just getting old and just like ratty, and I've had to throw some away. And I have to do like laundry more frequent. So I'm just like, fuck, I got to buy some more boxers. So I went to Target a couple of days ago, and I'm like, I've thought about boxer briefs. I've never worn them, but I'm like, I know a lot of people that do wear them. I hear they're good. So now's the time, if I'm going to get into boxer briefs, is now, because I'm running low on boxers. So I bought one pair. And the day that I took my daughter to this Billy B's obstacle course was the stupid fucking time I decided to test them out.
They're fucking falling off your ass, right?
Well, I put them on. They're quite snug, and I am not used to anything holding my boys. And so I put that on. And it just feels a little tight, a little snug. And then, I'm chasing my daughter through this little obstacle course thing, and they just get tighter, and they just get bunchier and bunchier. And I feel like a male stripper, but instead of like dollar bills getting put in my thong, it's like giant paper towels because it's just so bunchy and gross and fucking sweaty. And it's like me surrounded by all these little kids in this cage thing. So I can't just like haul out and just, open the pants and reach down and like fix all this bunching up because I'm going to get like fucking arrested. So I just have to like deal with this horrible bunching, chafing feeling while I'm chasing my daughter around. It was miserable. It was horrible. When we came home, I threw them away. I'm not a boxer briefs guy. I can't do it. Fuck that.
And with that, welcome to episode 185 of the Gamers in Beta podcast. That lovely voice you heard is Corey. What's going on, Corey?
Not much. I'm a boxers guy through and through. Hey, listeners, I want to know. This is a poll I want to take. I just want to know boxers, boxer briefs, free balling. What do you guys do? Are we alone in just doing boxers? 'Cause I don't know how you guys. I don't know how.
I think we are alone because we've mentioned this before, and I don't think were on that episode. And Jay and Joe were firmly planted in the boxers brief category. And I just can't get down with that. I can't, for whatever reasons. I have big powerlifting thighs and really kind of a flat ass. So they do no justice for me. My thighs are pulling down and my ass won't hold them up. I don't know. I'm just a boxers guy. Like my grandfather says, I need some dancing room.
Exactly. Like I worry though that like the whole bra effect is going to happen and my balls are going to get really, really like old man saggy. No. So like that's what made me think about this. Maybe I need some support, but I can't do it. That's what I need. I need to be able to. I just got to flap with the breeze, I guess.
Yep. Just roll with it. You're married. If they fucking dangle, so what? So let's see. Joe and Jay are not with us tonight because, let's see. Jay and Sean are not with us tonight because those two are sick. And Joe is at a child's birthday party. Not his own child, but friend of his child. So he can't make it. So it's just Corey and myself. So this should be a shorter show than usual. And if I drink any more, that is going to be tough to say back to back. Shorter show.
Now, I hear that Jay and Sean are so sick that it feels like...
Felt like I'd been rammed in the ass by a horse.
It's a Witcher sound effect. I have to play it in honor of Jay.
And Jay says he got sick from Joe, and, we'll just leave that alone. Unless you have one of those old sound effects from Joe still on the board.
No, that's the closest I have. I got rid of that old one.
Yeah. So there was some news this week, Corey. Just a bit of news. Maybe you want to give us that sweet sound effect?
Yeah, it was about the... Now, before we get into all the details, I just want to know, hot take, positive, negative, how did you feel about that whole, I guess, just presentation?
I didn't watch the presentation. I did something different this time around for two reasons. One, because of my early morning shift, I didn't stay up to watch it because it was I think 11 o'clock. I had to get up at 3:45, 4 a.m. So I wasn't down, and I think in the past we've been sort of swayed. The presentations. Some people put on really slick ones. Some people just rather mundane. I didn't want to go down that path this time, so it's something a little out of the ordinary for me. I just wanted to get to the facts and not be like, wow, that guy's really not into it, so why shouldn't I be into it? Or that guy's really over the top, and maybe I'm not that into it. So I just wanted to get the facts out. But I guess my Twitter followers and people like that, or the people that I follow as well, just seemed that they didn't think the presentation was that great. Was that your assumption?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about getting the information the next day is you miss all the awkwardness, the sweet, sweet awkwardness of Nintendo presentations. I think they're like a very old, stuffy Japanese company, and I think whenever they do at a presentation for, I guess it wasn't for North America, it was for the world, but like I think we often lose something in translation, and it comes off kind of awkward. Like the interpreter for the guy from Suda was very slow and weird. There was a lot of weird, awkward social pauses and things that that always comes hand in hand with Nintendo presentations. So I kind of enjoyed the awkwardness because I was expecting it.
I was listening to the Giant Bomb sort of wrap up the next day. I didn't finish all of it, and they said that they seemed like everybody that was in the presentation at least had one sort of joke, like they had one responsibility to at least make sure they got like one joke across or one little quippy line or something like that. I did catch the guy doing the Super Mario Odyssey, and he had like the hat on with the eyes.
Yeah. He had
And I
those
guess
on
he's
like
the
right
one.
after.
He's also like the Mark Cerny of the Switch. So not only is he doing the Super Mario game, but he also is like the designer or project lead on this thing.
Yeah, they often have. I mean, Nintendo. I don't know how many R&D teams they have now, but they used to have like somewhere between 4 and 6, and they often have R&D teams that work on games and work on hardware. It's not like out of the ordinary to have a hardware team also do software. So it doesn't surprise me they're still doing that.
And I did catch a little bit of him showing off how to use the Joy-Cons. You know, he was doing the thing with the motion and showing you like the 3 ice cubes, and then you could shake it around.
Yeah, that I knew right away. I was like, oh, this ice cube thing, this is going to become a meme. This is Twitter fodder right here.
Right. But overall, it was just more of the same of that. Just sort of cultural difference, a little awkwardness, because this is obviously live, right?
Yeah, it's live, which you're going to get weird goof ups and awkwardness. It's, developers on stage acting as celebrity presenters. So there's always that awkwardness of just, like civilians up there trying to give a presentation and do jokes. And there's the interpreter barrier, which makes things even tougher. So, yeah, there's always kind of weird awkwardness, especially when they try to be funny and it just goes over like a lead balloon. And the same guy you were thinking about, I can't remember his name, every single time he would hand it off to somebody else, they would make like a switch pun. Now let's switch to this, switch to that. I'm like, this is going to get fucking old over the next 2 months. Right.
Now, obviously because of the time difference, it's tough for them to do something just in the U.S. and just in Japan, because people would, with the internet these days, would get, you'd get the information beforehand, right? But you feel like if there was just a U.S. presentation or North America presentation, that it might have been better. Like if you have Reggie was out there and people from the Treehouse and things like that. I know you get that the next day. But if that's the sort of presentation that was the initial thing, it would have been perceived a little better.
Probably the presentation itself would have gone off a little better. But personally, I'm a big Nintendo nerd and video game nerd, as it's obvious because I'm on a game podcast. Right. But I like to get the information straight from the horse's mouth. I'm definitely one of those people. I don't mind the awkwardness from Nintendo. I expect it now, so it doesn't bother me at all. But it probably would have gone off smoother, but I think they did the right thing. You don't just present to different regions anymore. You present to the world because of the internet.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get some of the facts out of the way and certainly chime in as I read these. March 3rd, I think last week we said March 17th. So that already is coming up, 2 weeks earlier?
Yeah, quite a bit earlier. And they're hard locked into this. I was definitely expecting at least one more pushback, and it does not seem like that's on the horizon right now.
$299. That was about $50 more than we expected. So we were expecting $249, $250, and it's $50 more. I am surprised that there's no other bundles or configurations right now. Maybe those are coming. Maybe when more games come out. But that did catch me by surprise. What about you?
Yeah, just the colors. It's just the plain black or the red and the blue thing. Yeah, I expected a couple of SKUs. I expected different size hard drives, and I was positive there would at least be a bundle or two. Because I was really hoping for a Splatoon bundle. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves as far as the games go.
What did you think of the color thing?
It's okay. I wonder if the blue and the red are a nod to Mario's outfit, is what I assume it is. I've already pre-ordered. I'll come out and say that. And I got the one with the colors just because I'll probably be playing this a lot with my daughter, and she will like something that's more colorful. I expect that from Nintendo.
So I pre-ordered as well, and I thought a lot about the colors. And since I have 3 kids and you only have 1, what do you think I did?
I would bet on colors, or maybe you bought 2 of them.
Well, maybe no. I opted against colors because you know what happens when you have more than 1 kid. I want the blue. No, I want the blue. I want the red. So none of that shenanigans going on. We just got the straight black and gray.
There you go. That's parental experience right there.
You already touched a little bit upon the hard drive, 32 gigabytes of internal memory. It can accept the micro SDHC and XC cards. And Jay's already been burning up the Twitter sphere, complaining about this, even though he won't get a Nintendo Switch. But he's raising a shitstorm about this. I guess before we go into that, tell me, Corey, since you're a Nintendo guy and you have the 3DS and the Wii U, how much is memory a problem currently?
Well, the Wii U is a special case because I went into the Wii U knowing that I would probably only have maybe a maximum of 7 games. If you bought the Wii U to buy third-party titles, you're making a mistake. I bought it all for first-party titles, so I don't have a ton of games, but all my Wii U games are digital. I try not to buy physical games anymore. So I haven't run into any problems, but then again, I haven't had very many games on it. So that's why. But for my 3DS, I went out and I bought the biggest like SanDisk that would fit in my 3DS. I don't remember how big it is, but I have a shitload of games on there, and I haven't come close to filling it up. Partially because most of those games aren't very big.
So the 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte SDXC cards are coming at some point. They don't make them yet. Still in development. The 512 gigabyte card is presently out there, and that runs $200.
Didn't they say like they confirmed a 256 gig would be accepted, right, by the
They just confirmed the other day that they'll accept as large as they make.
Oh, okay. They'll take it all.
They'll take it all. Wide, big, small, whatever.
Okie dokie.
And so the largest that you can really get your hands on right now is the 512 gigabyte, and that's $200. Why you would go out and spend that on the 512 is beyond me. If this is just, like you said, going to be a first-party machine, and you're going to be getting, downloadable games like the VC games. I mean, they didn't tell you much about that, but you assume that stuff is coming. Why wouldn't you spend the $10, $15 on the 64 gigabyte ones and see how things play out before, oh my God, I can't get the 512 because it's $200, so therefore I'm out.
Yeah, I would, memory's a big thing for me because, again, I don't like to buy physical, and especially if I'm going to be taking this thing on the go, that's where I really don't want physical games, because the last thing you want is a console you take with you, and you also need a little purse for all your games. Like, fuck that. So you want everything built right in. So my plan is just to go with a 32 gig, and if I seem to be coming close to my limit, then I will buy as big as I can, and hopefully I can get something for less than $200. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And, we were simpatico with the boxers, but I am not going along with that strategy. I still enjoy the deep cuts that Best Buy and Amazon Prime give me. So rather than buying Zelda for $60, I'll get it for $47.99, and and then see what happens from there. Let's move on to battery life. They're estimating 2.5 hours to 6.5 hours if you're playing Zelda straight through. They say you're going to get 3 hours of battery life. And from what I've been reading online, some of the experts, they say that is standard, if not slightly better than the 3DS. And they said if you're on like a gaming laptop, if you're on your phone for 3 hours straight playing games, this is in line with battery life for those devices. So if you had your gaming laptop and you're busting out The Witcher 3 for 3 hours straight and you're not plugged in, your gaming laptop is going to, within 3 hours, going to conk out.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but I know when they said 2.5 to 6.5, I knew 6.5 was probably really generous. I'm like, well, what games are going to last just 6.5 hours? Like fucking Solitaire or, just in standby? I mean, right. I expected things on the low end. So then when they came forward and said Zelda, 3 hours, just above the lowest line we gave you. So that's what I expected. As far as the 3DS goes, I mean, granted, 3DS is not 720p, But also the 3DS, I mean, you click that thing closed. It's like you click that clamshell closed, and that battery fucking lasts forever on the 3DS. I don't know about you, but mine seems to just last forever. So this is going to take a little bit of adjustment, but I mean, 720p on the go, like you said, that's kind of what you got to expect.
The charging cable that comes with the USB-C cable that comes with the dock, you can use directly for the handheld portion. So if you're at work and you're using this thing on your lunch break, you can charge it during the day and then, go off to your hour lunch or whatever, come back, charge it again for your ride home, if you're on a bus, subway, or something like that. If you're at PAX, bring it with you, sitting down, find an outlet somewhere, you can charge it while you play. So all those things apply.
Yeah, I expect to see these all over PAX. I want one, but I know I'm not going to be bringing mine to PAX. The only thing that would have made me bring it is if Splatoon had been available, because that initial commercial where people are just sitting around playing a LAN game of Splatoon, I was like, oh, that'd be perfect for PAX, but not going to happen. Not this time.
Let's see what else here. 1080p when docked, 720p when mobile. Obviously, some exceptions. They're saying Zelda will not be 1080p. They say Zelda will be more like 900p, 30 frames per second. The launch lineup is Zelda, Just Dance, Skylanders, and a game called 1-2. Is that
1-2 Switch? Is what it is.
1-2 Switch.
And was ARMS, was that going to be a launch title? I can't remember if ARMS. No, okay.
Just these four. So that is disappointing. Essentially, everybody who's buying this is paying $300 to play Zelda, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, unless you want to buy it on the Wii U.
An average Zelda game, you tell me. If you were to get Breath of the Wild, what would you estimate the gameplay would be? Are we looking over 20 hours, under 20 hours?
Well, with Breath of the Wild, they really seem to be pushing the open world. Like, open world, this is an open world. It's not like, a normal Zelda game. This one, there's survival elements to it. So it seems like they're pushing this as a longer than average Zelda game, where there's not just side quests, but there's just like a survival type aspect to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping this is on the longer end of a Zelda game. But yeah, I mean, a Zelda game can take you, depending on if you want to be a completionist, well over 20 hours.
Right, so what I guess I'm getting at is someone spends $300 to get this thing, and they go out and they just, start binge playing Zelda, and then they're done with it in a week and a half, 2 weeks or whatever. Then what?
Yeah, that my hope is that I don't mind that Zelda's pretty much going to be the only game for me. I'm not going to fucking buy Just Dance or Skylanders or 1-2 Switch. I'm just not. I'll be honest. Right. So I really think that I can buy Zelda, and since I don't, I'm in my mid-30s, I have a kid, I'm married, full-time job. I don't have as much time to play games as I would like to. So I think I'll be able to get a lot of time to sink my teeth into Zelda, and my hope is by the time I'm finishing Zelda that other games are going to be coming around, because I think there were some that were announced for spring, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know the Mario Deluxe, the Mario Kart 8 is April 28th. The ARMS game, I think, is shortly after launch. I mean, there's a lot of games that they announced that are coming, and they're all supposed to be in 2017. I'm just trying to figure out, what is the benefit of March 3rd? Like, was there some sort of, end-of-the-year financial thing they needed to do? Like, is that usually when things... end? Why March 3rd? If you only had 4 games ready, were they trying to beat someone to market? Like, what was the difference between March 3rd and May 21st? What was?
I bet it was for their investors, and I bet it was a financial thing that we as just average gamers wouldn't understand. Right. Probably has to do with their being in the red, or being in the black for that fiscal year, or however they keep their books. That's what I think it was. I think it was for the investors to get out on a certain time. Because like you said, they don't seem to be beating anybody. They have very little launch lineup. That they are busting their dicks to make sure that Zelda is their launch title because they don't have anything else,
I mean, now that I think about it, the only thing they were probably trying to beat was Scorpio, but this thing isn't competing with those type of machines, you know what I mean? But it is, they're competing with the dollars. People only have so many dollars they can spend on gaming. So I guess, while it's not competing on sort of specs, level. It is competing just for entertainment dollars.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe also it's hoping that they're putting this out when they're not really competing with very much, so maybe people will be more likely to give it a shot.
Yeah. And also before school gets out, it gives people, a solid 2 to 3 months to do something while kids are in school, college, high school. When summer months come, people aren't as tuned into gaming as you would think. So
now I want to know these 4 games that are coming out. One of them is Just Dance. And this is being touted as a game on the go. So who's going to be the first asshole to play Just Dance, like on a plane or a bus?
I don't know about a plane or a bus, but there's going to be plenty of them at PAX.
Oh, yeah, there will. Well, yeah, they always have like little sections cut out for like Just Dance and Rock Band and stuff like that. But I do want to see impromptu Just Dance games like taking place in the hallway.
Now, did you watch some of that 1-2?
Yeah, that was a lot of here's a bunch of shit that nobody's going to do. Like they seem to tout like, man, whenever you play video games, everybody looks at the screen. But now everyone's going to be looking at each other. Like nobody wants to look at each other. We don't like people. I don't know about you. I don't fucking like people. People suck. That's why I play video games. I want to look at a screen.
That one where you have to make eye contact and then they have to do like the duel, like the Western duel.
Yeah, the Western draw. Like.
So how do you know when to draw? Is there like a vibration?
I don't know. Like none of that really, that 1-2 switch stuff, I kind of tuned out there because I was like, this is very Wii reminiscent. And all that Wii stuff, I was like, there's a little too much motion control in here for my liking, because that's one of the Nintendo consoles I kind of skipped. Like I didn't care. So, but I mean, they made a shitload of money on the Wii, so they're probably hoping to get some of that audience.
Yeah, to milk a cow, the Western duel. There's something with I don't know, like beer pong or something. I saw a bunch of them. I was like, just like you said, I was too gimmicky, too motion control. I tuned it right out. And everybody's saying it's fun. It's a great party game. It's really done well, but it shouldn't cost $60. That it should be the pack-in.
Exactly.
Like Wii Sports.
Exactly. Wii Sports eventually became the best-selling console game of all time because it was a pack-in. So if you really want people to see what this console can do, it seems like 1-2 Switch is exactly what that is. That's just like a showcase of like, hey, you can do this, hey, you can do that. So if you want that to sell, I recommend packing it in. But also, if you can milk cows, maybe that'll be like a little Farming Sim minigame. Because in that sizzle reel, they definitely showed clips of Farming Sim 17.
They did. And there's tons of videos out there of all these sites milking the cows, and it's very disturbing.
I think I'm already overusing that sound effect.
So some more specs: 5.1 surround sound over HDMI via the dock. It has an ambient light sensor on the front, so just like your other tablets or phone, it can adjust a light if you have it turned on. It has 3 USB ports, 2 2.0 ports on the front of the dock, and 1 3.0 port inside the back cover.
That's very curious because, I mean, USB, when something's USB, that's pretty standard across all these different, not technologies, but different companies use USB. It's like a standard thing. Nintendo is very proprietary. Nintendo does not use other companies' products very often. So that's curious that there's a lot of USB ports in it. I'm wondering if like what they have planned to plug into that, or if they're going to be less strict about proprietary stuff.
Well, you need the 3.0 inside for your Ethernet. There's no Ethernet port on this thing.
Yeah, that's true. Though, do you still have your consoles wired?
All my consoles in my office are wired.
I used to, before I moved, I had all mine wired, and then I moved, and moving sucks. It's fucking exhausting. So when I got all my consoles where I wanted them, I was like, I'm just going to try the Wi-Fi, and if it sucks, then I'll run cables. And I haven't had a problem, so I don't really use Ethernets anymore.
So I guess there's they make an adapter 3.0 Ethernet, 3.0 to Ethernet, or Ethernet to 3.0.
Yeah.
The wireless internet seems to be standard, 802.11ac. I don't know who's going to do this. It's nice to have on paper, but it supports up to 8 systems over a local Wi-Fi connection. I don't know. Maybe at PAX people will have. I don't know.
Well, that seems like a very Splatoon or Mario Kart thing. That's right. What I think of right off the bat.
The Nintendo Switch Online service, and I hope it gets a better name than that, is going to be free to try when you get the system. And starting in the fall of 2017, they're going to charge for their service like Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. They haven't given a price yet. They will be giving you one free game a month, but after 30 days, the game is no longer free. You'd think they'd be smart enough to say, at least if they're not going to give it to you, if you like it, you can buy it at a reduced rate. But details like that have not come out yet.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid. Like, all paid services now, well, console services, are giving you free games every month. Games that if you download, you keep for good as long as you maintain the service. Nintendo has this enormous backlog of games, and they're like nothing in size if you want to go all the way back to the NES. Just fucking let us have these games. Why would you take them away? I do not understand that at all.
Now, do they give the free games out in Japan too, to like in PlayStation Network? I'm wondering if there's some sort of cultural thing here that is just not being carried over to us. You know,
I don't know. I mean, you're about to get to it, but that big thing, there's no region locking anymore. So you can export or import games now, which is huge for people into Japanese games.
Right. Yep. Region locked is definitely a big ticket item. This online thing is what people have been asking for. So online multiplayer parties. There's going to be a companion phone app that's going to let you do some of the scheduling and things like that. Again, no mention of price, but it's free till the fall. Something you think you'd pay for? Another subscription, Corey?
I mean, right off the bat, I'm paying for 2 other ones right now, and I really want this Nintendo, so I say yes. But Nintendo is known for being pricey with things and not lowering the price of their games, being stingy with their games. So, like, they've never had an online gaming service before, so I have nothing to compare it to, but I feel like it should be cheap, especially right off the bat if they want people to jump on it. One month, I don't know if is enough to get people to jump on it, but they should, and they should give people motivation to jump on it, like by giving them free games. I mean, fuck, they have so many Nintendo games that are like 2 megabytes. They're not costing them anything. Just give us fucking Joust, for Christ's sake.
Let's see. Other negatives here. No Street Pass feature and no Miiverse carrying over from the Wii U. And also in any of these presentations, we never really got to see like the home screen. So when this thing boots up, what does that look like? No mention of an app store. So they say this, device here is going to has touch features. So if you wanted to like launch Netflix, if you wanted to launch YouTube while you're out and about, or Twitter or Facebook, none of that stuff was mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, they did say there's going to be that like screenshot sharing and video sharing to major social media, but they didn't outright say, I think, Twitter and Facebook. But
they said, existing social media.
Right, and I think that's assumed because they said they did confirm that it's not going to be their social media, and we all know what that is.
Yeah, so just a little disappointing that some of those facts didn't come out. Hopefully, they've already confirmed the no Street Pass or Miiverse, fine, but are there going to be things that people can do besides, you know how it is, you're out and about, some days you don't feel like gaming, but you still take the thing with you? Can I hop on YouTube or Netflix or something else and do other activities?
Yeah, I'll give myself a big, because I had a pretty big hard-on for Street Pass. I was pretty sure they're going to do Street Pass things. Those were enormously successful in the 3DS. It gave you a reason to carry around your 3DS, especially at PAX, where there's lots of other gamers, so you can collect all the puzzle pieces and all that stuff. Like, give me more of a reason to carry this thing around, because it's not going to be easy to carry around. You can't slip this thing in your pocket. It's like a small tablet.
Some games that looked, enticing. The Super Mario Odyssey looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that looked really cool. It looks like a modern N64, like a Mario 64, which, fuck, I wish that shipped with the game. There hasn't been a Nintendo console that shipped with a Mario title since fucking Mario 64, but it looks a lot like that. It looks fun. It did seem weird to see Mario running around with like normal humans, like normal looking humans in like a GTA style world. That was weird.
Now, what were some of the games that caught your eye? I've listed a few, but is there some that you said, fuck yeah, I can't wait to play that down the road?
ARMS, I had like zero interest in. I think that seems very weird and very Nintendo. So I expected something like that. Super Mario Odyssey, obviously. But the biggest one was Splatoon 2. I did not expect the deuce at the end of Splatoon. I expected like a Splatoon remastered or a Splatoon, the Switch collection or something like that. Splatoon 2, I found, like, I audibly was like, holy fuck, like, sitting alone in my den. Because
the question I want to ask about that is, I've played Splatoon, but I didn't know enough when I saw the video for it that this looked new. You, as someone who's played Splatoon, what did you see that was new that were like, I can definitely tell this isn't like remastered, just ported over? What looked new to you?
Oh yeah, there was mainly the weapons. There was a lot of new weapons that are not in Splatoon. The dual wielding weapons that they were like really pushing, that like the presenter was holding and everything. There's no dual wielding in original Splatoon. It looks like there's a dodge roll now. Because in Splatoon, you get around by like turning into your squid and like moving through your ink. That's how you can get around really quickly. There was a dodge roll in this trailer where you could stay a human or squid kid or whatever you call it and do like a quick dodge roll. The game seems much faster paced than Splatoon is now. There's like a secondary, I don't know what you want to call them. When you fill up a meter, you get this like special weapon that you can also use. And there was a bunch of new ones, like there was a rain cloud of ink that they were showing. So, yeah, it seems a lot different as far as the weaponry and the gameplay pacing. But they did show some of the, I don't know what you want to call it, like a little like city hub world kind of while you're not in the game that looked much bigger and more expansive than before, and kind of a more interesting campaign, because there really is no campaign in Splatoon. It's just like this weird, almost like a training type thing. So there was quite a bit.
Now, tell me about online play currently for Splatoon. How is that done? Just random all the time?
I don't have any friends that have it. I'm very sad like that.
Joe and I have it.
You have Splatoon?
I have Splatoon.
Fuck, we should play some Splatoon sometime. I know you can play private matches now. They added that. When it first launched, it was like a one-trick pony. You could just play this one game type. And now there's like ranked game matches where you have to like push this thing back and forth across the map, which I'm not too into. And then there's a standard matches where it's just you have to paint the map more than your team. Most of the time, it's all random. I've never played with friends, so I don't know exactly how that works. But, I don't wear a headset. It's just completely randomized. You don't really have much interaction with your teammates.
So as I'm looking at the bullet points for Splatoon 2, they're saying it's going to have smart device support. An upcoming smartphone application for the Nintendo Switch system will enhance matchmaking and allow for voice chat options. So how do you feel if you didn't have a headset but you just had your phone there? Chatting people via your phone.
That would be, I wonder if they're going to use like a speakerphone type feature, because I remember the Wii U did something like that. But that would be interesting. I would assume it's going to be used as a secondary device too, because when you use your secondary, depending on what secondary weapon you use in Splatoon, you have to touch that middle screen. To like, I want to shoot a rocket of ink to this part of the screen. And there's always a map on your, the screen in the middle of the Wii U gamepad. You're not going to be holding the game tablet while you're playing Splatoon 2 at home. That's going to be in the dock. So you're not going to have like an overhead map of what's going on at all times. So I wonder if you'll be able to use that during gameplay as well, not just for communication.
I got to look at pictures of the controller. Now, I know the Pro controllers doesn't come with a headphone jack.
Yeah, that's weird.
But I'm trying to get a good picture here of the standard, the one, the controller with the two Joy-Cons and the charge grip. If that has a headphone jack in it at all.
I thought there was definitely a headphone jack in the, like if you take the unit out, in the tablet.
But so I'm just getting back to what you were just describing. If you're at home and you have this thing docked, then you obviously can't use that headphone jack, right?
Right, yeah.
So what are you doing to plug this in and get some sounds come out of it, to play with the headphone? If the Pro controller doesn't have it, does that, what are we calling the Joy-Con controller with the charge grip? Is there just a standard controller? That we're just going to call it that?
They had a name for it. Unfortunately, it like escapes me right now. But there was the thing that you connected it to that had the little like
The
bars
charge
in the
grip.
back. Yeah.
Does that have a headphone jack in it?
Maybe because they were really
can't get
pushing.
a picture of it.
They were saying like that was part of the if you play the what do they call it, Switch Online, Nintendo Switch Online service. That was one of the things they were touting was like like chat rooms with your friends, chat online, blah blah blah.
So those things, just got to do some research. Now, does this package also come with the grips?
I think so. I would assume so, but I don't know.
Because if you look at the Joy-Con controllers, if you want to buy them, you can buy them like another set for $80, or you can buy just a left or right for $50. Mm-hmm. They come with that grip thing that gives the Joy-Con like a little beefier look to it. You see that like extra black that's on the
it comes with like a little thing you can put around your wrist or whatever too.
Right.
Yeah.
That extra black, I was listening to the Giant Bomb guy says makes a big difference. It feels better in your hand, gives it a little bit more substance. And the other thing I'm concerned about is you notice the right controller has the thumbstick in the middle as opposed to up top. So if you turn those things, horizontally, you all of a sudden have a thumbstick in the middle of a controller where you're sort of used to them either on the left or the right.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, the left one, if you turn it sideways, is going to seem like it. I think one of them is going to be preferred. Like, I think people might fight over one or the other if they have to use it.
Right. Now, getting back to that, what do you see your end game for this? Because for me, I don't go, especially at my job. I work from home. Now that I'm done with my training, I have a work from home gig, so I'm not taking this anywhere with me. Maybe to PAX, but like you just said, you're probably not going to because it's not that small, right? You have to worry about the thing getting banged around a little.
Yeah, and there's not going to be any games to play with other people. What am I going to fucking play Zelda with other people?
Right. So you're just going to bring it there to show people that you have it and can play Zelda, show off. Look at me. So I'm just wondering, from my perspective, it's just another home console, and I can take it out of the dock when someone else wants to watch the TV. So I might get the Skylanders because my kid already has all the toys and everything. And so like today I wanted to watch football. He got a new Skylander when he went out with his mother, and he came home and couldn't use it because I was watching football. So that would be like a perfect situation where he could take the thing out of the dock and play like that. That's probably going to be the extent of our use here for it. Do you feel like you're going to be doing more than that?
Well, for my job, I work a lot in my car and I'm out and about, so I could bring it in my car, and it wouldn't be tough too because I'm not going to be just sitting in my car. I can put it in my bag. I don't have to worry about trying to put it in my pocket or anything. So I will probably bring it to work a bunch, at least initially, until it starts to negatively influence the amount of work I get done, and then I'll probably have to stop doing it. But I'll probably do it a lot, but that's a special case. Like you said, a lot of people probably won't take it to work. I think maybe in different places, like maybe more city places where people have rides on city buses and trains, they might be more likely to.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who's got a work job at an office, and is a gamer and has it, probably will take it here and there. I mean, you can charge it at your desk, your cube, or whatever, But I just don't have a gig like that, so.
Yeah, I mean, there is going to be Skyrim, and that's a game you can just throw hundreds of hours just into the garbage can of that game. Not that the game is garbage, but that you just throw so many hours into that game. So that, taking it on the go, you can be like, oh, well, I just want to grind this or that. I'm gonna take it with me on my commute today.
So let's wrap up the Switch talk here. Do you love Nintendo for taking a risk like this, or do you feel like they should have just, tried to compete with Xbox and PlayStation and just give me a box that's in line with those guys have, and give me the Mario, the Zeldas, and all the other first-party stuff, and also let me play all the other third-party stuff and just, kick ass and take names? Or are you happy that they're doing something, out of the box like this?
Well, like Nintendo hasn't done that in a long time, and I think if they just try to put something up against the PS4 and the Xbox One, the internet would still shut all over them. So they'll be like, oh, they're just ripping off Sony, or they're just ripping off Microsoft, and look, it's not as good. I don't think Nintendo wants to get involved in that little trench war between Sony and fucking Microsoft. I expected this out of them, and I'm glad this is what they did. There are a few things like Street Pass and Miiverse I'm fine with, but there are other things that I wish they would do. But it seems typical Nintendo. It seems typical Nintendo, but just enough that I'm more optimistic than I was with the Wii and the Wii U. So I like the direction that they're taking, but they're still holding on to a lot of their Nintendo sensibilities as far as the company goes.
There seems to be a lot of people out there that, like me and you and Glovebox, who it's new, it's Nintendo, we got to have it, so we go out and pre-order it. And then there's people out there that are like, why would you do this? You can get the $60 game for the Wii U, and you can play Zelda and save, yourself $240, and, just wait and see what else comes, or wait and see, how this product does. I don't want to call them frugal. Maybe they're more sensible than us, but
probably
this feeds into a question that we have from one of our listeners later. But it just seems like this is. Some like Jay, for instance. And Jay is in a ATV club. He had to buy the ATV. I'm sure there's fees for that. He's got guns. He goes to a gun club. What I'm trying to get is he's got other hobbies, right? Just besides gaming. He's got to divide up his money. For me, it's just, work, family, bills, and gaming. I don't have a third or fourth, fifth hobby. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have a problem shelling out the money for the new tech. Is it for you? Is it the same, or is it just because it's Nintendo? I got to have it.
Well, I know that if Jay was here, he would definitely be of the thought that, like, why the fuck would I get on board for a launch console just to play Zelda? $300 and then the cost of the game just to play Zelda is kind of nonsensical. And I can't disagree with him. He's right about that. It is just to play Zelda, but there is that group of hardcores like you or I are in that will definitely play this. And I do have some Nintendo fanboy in me. I bailed on Nintendo for a while, but I'll always love Nintendo. They're my favorite software company in the video game industry. Just they have a special place in my heart. And this is a moment when I feel like maybe this is kind of a make or break moment for Nintendo. So I'm really hoping that they're turning a corner, and that corner being away from the Wii. And I can get on board with that. But people that say I can't get on board with that doesn't make any sense to me, like the average gamer who maybe plays more games on PS4 or Xbox One. I get that. So I'm not going to convince them like, no, this is definitely something you should do. Like, I understand waiting, and I think you should wait if you're not on board with Zelda. But I'm cautiously optimistic about how this is going to turn out.
And did you have a problem with the pre-order, or did you find them readily available?
I went to we were all like talking over Twitter during the presentation. I think you were asleep at the time.
I was pretty impressed that I slept through that, because I woke up and there had to at least been maybe 50 messages.
At least, yeah, because we were chatting a lot during the presentation. I went to bed right afterwards, and I had to get up at like 5. So when I checked Twitter again, I was like literally standing in Dunkin' Donuts, and I get this flood of messages, and Jay and Joe are putting up pictures of them being able to pre-order. Because while I was watching the presentation, I'm refreshing Amazon over and over again. And they said something about pre-orders are going to be available on, the 21st in Japan or something like that. So I was like, all right, so it's not going to happen tonight. And then I found out I could do it. So like within probably a half an hour, I found out that Target were still taking pre-orders. So it wasn't that hard for me.
I cringed a little bit when you mentioned Target, though, because they're just notorious for – they're the one place that always takes the pre-orders and then cancels them because they can't fulfill them.
Really?
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that, and I was like, oh, why do you go to Target?
I did not know that. I've never pre-ordered anything from Target, but I tried. I think I checked out Amazon, and they weren't taking any. And I tried one other place, and they weren't. And then I was like, well, maybe I can pre-order a Target and just walk in and pick it up because there's a Target right near my house. So I know
Jay's got one on pre-ordered for Best Buy that he had for me. Mm-hmm. But I got mine through Amazon. So maybe talk to Jay if you don't feel strong about your Target. But he's got one through Best Buy with the colors.
Yeah, that's what I pre-ordered too. Hopefully Target comes through, because then Jay will just be left with one, and he'll have no choice but to have been a pre-order guy.
I know some listener out there, I won't mention him by name, pre-ordered 5 of them. hoping to go to the gray market with them.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, I woke up at just a little bit before 4 o'clock, and just before I jumped in the shower, I nabbed one from Amazon. Like a little email came saying, yep, they're ready for available, hopped on Amazon and just ordered it. And it couldn't have been any easier for me. Literally, I was up for like 5 minutes and just got it.
You bastard. I checked Amazon. It was probably about 8 a.m. when I checked Amazon, and they weren't taking them anymore.
Well, let's take a break here, and we're going to move on to a new segment, but we just need to take a quick break, and let's hear a little bit from our sponsors.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
There's a lot of internet startups out there concerned with getting your snacks or gourmet food, but none seem to care about what happens after you eat. That is, until now. Blue Poo knows that after a big meal comes a big dump, and nothing ruins an effective evacuation like bad toilet paper. Whether you're dropping logs, blowing mud, or just ripping ass, Blue Poo's got your hind end covered and will make every deuce you drop seem like a trip to the spa. BluePoo.com provides a wide assortment of unique artisanal TP so you can find whatever feels best in your butt. Their patent TP includes texture variations such as Comfy Cloud, Sphincter Silk, and my personal customer favorite, Grandma's Quilt. They even have an array of slightly damp, allergen-free wipes for those of you with sensitive brown eyes. So go to bluepoo.com and use offer code GamersInPooPoo to receive 50% off your first order. Bluepoo.com, treat your ass with some class. All right, we're back here, and we haven't done a question of the week in some time. We wanted to give you listeners out there a little reprieve over the holidays, but we're going to start pestering you again with the answers for our questions. And, of course, we are predictable. This is going to center around the Nintendo Switch. Corey, why don't you let them know what the question is?
All right, now, if you're listening to a video game podcast, there's no way you don't know about the Switch. It's all over the news right now. So what was it? What was the tipping point for making you want to buy the Switch? And if not, if you didn't pre-order it, if you're not on board right away, what feature would put you over the top as far as pre-ordering or definitely getting on board with the Switch right away? So what did it for you? And if it didn't happen, what would do it for you to make you buy the Switch?
And you can tweet us your answers and also look for when we tweet out the question as well, and you can wait to chime in then. Either is perfectly fine, or you can email us at gamersinbeta@gmail.com. Let's get into what we've been playing. I'll go first because it's rather short. Again, I apologize for that, but I did wrap up my last week of training, so I hope to be back into the gaming groove this week. And the only thing I played this week is Dead Rising 4 on the Xbox One. And I'm probably 60 to 90 minutes into the game, and I have some mixed feelings about it. It, certainly runs fine. Some long loading times. The humor's great. The whoever does the voice acting for Frank is pretty spot on. And the interaction he has with the girl that's with you is pretty decent. The movement of his character, a little wonky at times. I'm not sure if it's the movement or the camera angle, but sometimes when you are swarmed by a bunch of zombies, I feel like you sort of lose your place in the game as far as being able to see yourself. I feel like the camera does something a little weird there. But so far, I am enjoying it. It starts you off in a dream sequence, and you're in this mall, and you just, tons of zombies, and you have to go towards this sort of zombie that's calling out to you. And it's a dream sequence / training. And you go to these various points, and then the game starts. And I don't want to give too much more beyond that, but so far it's not just like hordes and hordes of zombies. There's actual story to this, which seems to be different than other Dead Rising games, at least from what I can remember. But I'm sure it will open up at one point where it will just be tons of zombies and Frank on the screen and be back to typical Dead Rising, but seems to be play a little bit different.
Did you played all the other Dead Rising games or no?
I've touched them I fondle them, Corey. I have frolic around with them a little bit.
I can't play the wolf whistle again. I need another sexy sound effect.
The one thing that's always turned me off with especially the earlier ones was the timing. You got to had do this in a certain amount of time.
That's what I was going to ask. This one has no timing, right? There's no timer.
I haven't found anything like that. It's just it's. I don't want to say it's like Dead Space, but I get a Dead Space vibe. You know what I mean? I'm like in this building. I'm not sure how much you know about the game. I don't even know if it's a spoiler. I'm not sure if it's knowledge or whatever. But they're doing some experiments on these people, zombies or whatever. So you're in a building and trying to figure out what's going on.
So there's no like the first Dead Rising was like you had to play through the whole thing in a certain amount of time, and then they encourage you to replay again differently. That's like what the whole like gimmick of the game was about, right?
Yeah, nothing like that.
So is that do you prefer that, or do you miss the old?
I don't miss it at all. That's why I haven't picked up Dead Rising. I mean, I own Dead Rising 3, but I didn't enjoy it because of all that stuff. Just let me play the game like this, go through and beat shit up and find collectibles and level my character up and give me a story. And so far, that seems like what they're doing.
Yeah, I heard people complain about. I'm not too familiar with the Dead Rising series. I haven't played really much of them, but I heard people complain that they missed kind of that whole timer thing. And one thing I hate in video games, next to like an escort mission, is a fucking timed mission. And to think an entire game be timed, that like gives me anxiety just thinking about it. Jesus.
Yeah, they must be sadist. And I'm curious to see what the co-op's about. It's got co-op 1 to 4 people, so online co-op. So I'm curious to see what that's about.
Yeah, is it separate? Like, or is it like a separate campaign for the co-op, or do they jump in and out of your campaign?
I think it's separate because when I get to the main menu, I believe it says like story and then multiplayer.
Ah, okay.
But so far I'm enjoying it. It looks good. It's just like I said, a little bit of wonky, but that's Capcom, right? That just seems par for the course, but. Other than that, no complaints, and I will keep playing it until it gets stupid, I guess.
It's like a Christmas-themed game, right?
Haven't got to that point, but it's definitely winter and snowing.
Okay. I know some people were talking about how it felt awkward to play a Christmas-themed game now that the holidays are behind us. But
has he always been a photographer? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he, there's a bunch of, photographer type things that you have to do in certain situations. And, he wants to get out of there. He's like, I got there, I did my deed, I took the photos, I can expose them, and this will be the biggest story of my life. And his sidekick is very offended of what's going on there, and she wants to stay there and burn the place down. And they sort of have gotten separated, and that's where I'm at right now.
So you think you're going to stick with it and beat the entire game, or like does it still have your attention, you think, to last that long, or no?
Yeah, I'm going to keep playing it.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Unfortunately, I've fallen back into Ark, which takes up a ton of time, and I won't bore anybody with it, other than the fact that I'm playing my own single-player game now, and I finally raided my first cave by myself successfully, so any other Ark nerds will know what I'm talking about. It was the Ice Cave, if anybody's curious, like the easiest one. So moving on, I'm playing the free one of the free PS Plus games, This War of Mine, which is like a survival game. You play as like a few different survivors who are like caught up in the middle of a war zone. And you have to like maintain your house, while at the same time at night you have to send someone out to scavenge other areas to get things to survive. It's fun. It's very bleak. It's like super bleak.
Yep.
So don't play this game to smile. If you're it's a survival game, but it's very sad. And
I'm sure you're playing it on the PS4, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, I played it on the PC. And I didn't have the kid aspect to it, but I just had the regular, grown adults. And I remember going in one place, and there was a church, and the priest, wouldn't give me what I needed, and I had to beat him to death.
Jesus.
I think the longest I played that game, I want to say, I lasted maybe, I want to say either 8 to 16 days. Somewhere, I don't know, it's a big span. I think that's like the longest I lasted.
I'm at about 8 days right now. I haven't beaten any priests to death, but the PS Plus version is This War of Mine, the little ones. So for people who don't know, it's like a DLC edition or whatever you want to call it that includes children. So there can be kids in your group of survivors, and these kids can completely die. So it's it's really brutal because when you go scavenge other people's sometimes there's survivors living there, and they're not just like bad guys. You kill them and you take their stuff. They're just trying to survive just like you. So you have to decide whether or not you want to steal from these people. If they catch you, are you just going to leave? Are you going to kill those other survivors and take what they have and deal with the people who are in their group who watch you murder their loved one? Your survivors it takes a psychological toll when you're brutal to other survivors. So like their moods will raise and lower depending on how you react in this war zone. So it's pretty fucked up. It's quite a fucked up survival game, but I'm enjoying it right now. I'm only playing it in spurts because I can't play long periods of it.
Very well done though.
Yes, it is very well done. It's like a 2D game too, which is really cool looking. You don't see a lot of those right now. And other than that, I'm playing Rise of the Tomb Raider with the wife. We're like passing the controller back and forth. We did that all through the last Uncharted game. So that's fun. Although my wife is quite the completionist, so she likes to do like every little side quest and find every relic. And I'm just like, let's move on. But
now you're playing that on the Xbox?
I am, yeah. It came with the version of the Xbone that I bought. It was like the bundle, and I just have yet to get around to it, and so I'm doing it right now. Mm-hmm. That's about it for me. I did jump back into We Happy Few for a little while, but I didn't play it. Like I played it for a while one afternoon, but I didn't put too much time into it because although it's been updated, it's still an alpha. So no matter how much time I put into it, one of the new updates could completely erase my save. So I'm like, I don't want to invest too much time into it right now. But a lot of the stuff that was shitty has been fixed. So if anyone wants to jump back into that. And tonight I actually blew way too much money on my stupid NES collection I bought for any other retro gamers out there. I bought Tubin, the Tengen, I don't know how you want to pronounce that version, the unlicensed version. I bought that along with TNC Surf Designs, Kickle Cubicle, and Battletoads. I finally bought Battletoads. So that's what I've been wasting my money on.
Well, we're going to roll out a new segment here, Corey. I explained to you guys, I think privately, that I've been listening to a lot more podcasts because of my commute to work. And the ones that I enjoyed the most were the ones that inspired me. Hey, I wish I was home right now gaming, right? And so we want to try to get back to talking to you guys out there, the listeners, and try to inspire you to play games. And so we got this feature here that we're going to roll out. It's called In Case You Missed It. And before Corey plays the music, it's just kind of maybe something we've talked about before, and we want to sort of go back and revisit. And we're going to let you know if this is something worth checking out or something, to skip. And certainly the one that Corey is going to do first, we have been talking about recently. Certainly Joe has. But why don't you play the music, Corey?
Yeah, so our new segment. In case you missed it. Little discoveries that we've found that maybe we should share or maybe you should avoid. So mine this time is going to be would have been my pick for Indie Game of the Year last year, but it had some stiff competition. Joe's been playing it, and it recently brought it back up for me. I have yet to get a chance to sit down and talk to him about it because we just keep missing each other on the podcast. But Superhot is a fucking fantastic game. If you look at screenshots, it's super minimal. It's a first-person shooter. The hook of the game is time-only moves when you move. Joe explained all this last episode, so I don't want to get too into it. It's a first-person shooter, but it's more a puzzler than a first-person shooter because you have to decide. You have to take on 7 or 8 enemies at once, and everybody's rushing at you in all these different scenarios. Like you're in a bar, you're in an alley. This guy has a shotgun. This guy has a pool cue, and you have to move at just the right angle to avoid getting hit. Grab this weapon, throw it at this guy. What you have to do in order. It's super minimal, but it's probably one of the most innovative shooters I've played. I don't know, in several years because a lot of them just kind of follow the same beats. So I highly, highly recommend Really cool indie game. The designer of the game is I think he's Russian. He looks startlingly like River Phoenix, if anybody knows who River Phoenix looks like. But they made the game in like a game jam over just a couple of days, and usually game jams spawn some really cool ideas. So highly recommend Superhot. Check it out if you're interested in it. It's a very short game. You could probably finish it in a 1 or 2 sittings, but definitely worth checking out.
So you say we should check it out or skip it?
Yep, I will definitely give this a check it out.
Check it out. Check it out. Check this motherfucker out.
All right. Let's get into the news, Corey. We got some notable releases for the week. Start off first, Gravity Rush 2 on the PS4. I know Gravity Rush, the first one was a big hit on the Vita, and this is coming to the PS4. I don't have much experience with it, so I can't talk too much about that. The next one, The Flame and the Flood, the Complete Edition, coming to the PS4. This is a game that Corey enjoys a lot, previously out on Xbox One and the PC. And the Complete Edition includes director's commentary, a PS4 theme, 2 new system avatars, plus a host of gameplay enhancements. And that's according to the game's publisher, Curve Digital, which I believe is different this time around for the PS4. I'm not sure if the Molasses Flood handled the port for this or not. I don't think they did.
I don't know. I really, really love this game. I don't think I'm going to pick up the Complete Edition just because I own this one already, but I really want to hear a director's commentary on it. I think that would be really cool to hear. Not many games do that. I think, Portal's done that? And one other game, the name escapes me right now. But I'd like to see that more, director's commentary about games.
And the next thing is Dead Effect 2. This is coming to the Xbox One and PC. Xbox One and PS4. It is already out on PC. And the description reads this is an action sci-fi shooter looking to push the boundaries of first-person shooters to new levels with slick graphics, rich narrative, and RPG elements. It has a mostly positive rating on Steam with 338 reviews. Check that out if you like, and let's jump into the news now. You weren't on with us last week, Corey, were you?
No, but I did hear you guys talk about the candle for Resident Evil 7.
Yes, what did you think of that?
I think it's super bizarre and definitely not for anyone who lives with anybody else. Because imagine if you don't play video games and just suddenly someone is burning a candle downstairs that smells like sweat and corpses. Oh, no, it's part of my game. No, I have to burn this fucking candle.
Yeah, what was it? Sweat, blood, like dried blood, and they said what? Wet wood?
Yeah, just terrible shit you don't ever want to smell. It just, I mean, I feel like this could trigger anybody who was locked in somebody's basement for a year.
So to continue on with the weird stuff, we didn't get one of these, unfortunately, but they have sent out promo materials to all major outlets, which included a real VCR, a Sony VCR, with all the necessary cables to hook up to a TV that can still use those composite cables. And they also included a very dirty, and I don't mean dirty like pornographic, dirty like physically, it looked like there's blood and dirt and mud all over it. Yeah, like someone threw it on the ground. Yeah, VHS tape. And if you watch this thing, it's this guy who's in the house in Resident Evil 7, and he's saying basically, I've had enough. I don't know where my friends are. I need to get this tape out to outlet so-and-so. So this video that I will link in the show notes is for Polygon. And he's like, I must get this to Polygon. I'm going to be killed in this house. Somebody, please, for the love of God, show this tape to Polygon. Right. So, Resident Evil 7 is what, next week? Yeah, coming right up. So, interested? Are you going to pick that up? Probably not. I haven't played a Res Evil game since Code Veronica.
So I think I know I bought 5 and I got a little ways into it and I was like, this is too actiony now. Even though this is a return to form, I don't know if this reviews really well. Maybe I'll pick it up because I do miss old school, creepy, scary Resident Evil. So
what I love about this, it just seems like they don't do this type of like over the top marketing anymore that much.
Yeah,
at least this seems really cool though. Get a VCR and a tape in the mail. That's it's kind of creepy. Especially the video is really done well if you watched it. I'm not sure if you did or not, but it's pretty compelling, I think.
They are really committing to this creepy vibe. So if the game comes out and it's campy and not creepy at all, I mean, the older games were more camp scary than this one seems to be. But I hope the game is like straight up batshit scary because that's what they're pushing.
Yeah. I hope so too. I don't do well with the scary games, but I hope it reviews well, and then I might be enticed to pick it up.
Yeah.
See how it goes. Let's see, 2 other quick stories here. First, for PlayStation, beta signups are now open for the next update for the PS4. So if you want to get in early and try out some of the new features, which we don't know what they're going to be yet, but if you're interested, you can sign up now between early February, and then I think sometime later in the month they'll be rolling out the changes to people in the beta. So I will put that link in the show notes, or you can head to the PlayStation blog and look for the link there.
Now, didn't you and Jay do this for the Xbox One?
The Xbox One is more of like a preview program, so it's like a one-time thing. And you're always in it.
Oh, okay.
The PlayStation handles it differently. They only do like a one-time beta for their updates. So what I mean by that is, all right, we got a beta. Do you want to opt into it? Let us know. And then once the beta's over, you're not opted into anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll come out 6 months later. All right, we're having another beta. If you're interested, you got to re-sign up again.
I would just be worried that, it's like an operating system thing. I would just be worried that like, if you were in the testing, that your system could just get bricked or something. I would be nervous to be part of this.
I haven't had a bad experience yet, but I'm sure that's a possibility. And lastly, Corey, we have some sad news. We were going to do more of an elaborate thing for this, but since it's just me and you, it just doesn't feel fitting. But this is a somber moment on the show. Scalebound has been canceled for the Xbox One.
Yeah, I feel like it's a shame that Jay's not here. I think Jay was looking forward to this the most out of everybody on the show.
Yeah, maybe that's why he ducked out. He thought we were going to do something elaborate and came up with this fictitious cold of his. So yes, there was some scuttlebutt during the week leading up to this. People were hearing rumors, and so you saw on Twitter, hey, I think like Scalebound could be canceled. We haven't heard from Microsoft yet, and it got to such a fever pitch that eventually Microsoft stepped in and said, "Yep, it is canceled." So that was announced at E3 2014, and it is no longer a game and currently in development. Much like other games from E3 of 2014, Phantom Dust and Fable Legends all have the same fate. And one of the other games that did get announced at E3 2014 was Project Spark, and that's no longer with us as well. So
wasn't like 4 out of 5 games they were really touting as like big, heavyweights on the Xbox One? 4 out of 5 of those are no longer in existence.
Yeah, I think the only one that came out was Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah. Which was a great game, but that's just not a great average, 4 out of 5.
Right. It shows you that sometimes games maybe shouldn't be announced until you absolutely know that they're going to be coming out. Now, this is a weird situation, though. The game was in development for 4 years. They said it was 80% content ready. So 80% of the content was delivered. Now, that's just content. That doesn't mean the systems were in place to sort of tie the content together. Maybe the story was there, but it just, the mechanics to get from point A to B were not there. I'm not sure. But it does seem peculiar. And, the rumors that are coming out also seem a little weird to me. They were trying to make sure that the game would come out this year because, again, they didn't want to sort of be like, well, we announced this and we keep pushing it back. That's not a good look. So let's make sure it comes out in 2017. And the rumors were that people at Platinum Games were just pushed too hard, and there was some fatigue, and they had to take time off. And then the guy at the studio came out and said, no, that's not true. But then you're hearing the guy might now take some time off anyways. So you don't know what to believe. But I think the bottom line, there was definitely some pressure there to have the game come out this year, and it just wasn't ready. So then I don't know if they just said it's not ready and it needs a lot more work. So it wasn't hey, we pushed it out a couple months and it needs a couple more months and we can swallow that pill. It sounded like maybe it needed another year to year and a half, and that wasn't something they were willing to keep investing in.
Yeah, I think they just pulled the funding or something, because that's a lot of money to just leave on the table to just out and out cancel a game rather than just push it back. I mean, there are those games out there that just got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back that we never thought we'd see. Last Guardian, which just recently came out, but they came out. To have a game just gone like this, a lot of people lose money that way, and that sucks. It makes me worried for Platinum Games, because Platinum Games is a great studio. So. Well,
certainly it seems like they have a big studio there, and they have an A team and a B team, right? So things like Bayonetta 2, Vanquish.
Yeah, Mad World, Anarchy Reigns,
Nier Automata that's coming out. I think it's a great demo. That's something maybe you should play if you have time. But then they put out stuff like the Transformers and Ninja Turtles and that Avatar game. Was it Korra, Legend of Korra?
Legend of Korra, yeah. Star Fox Zero was good, though. That was
I heard it was rubbish, at least. I didn't play it. But
oh, no, you know what? I'm thinking of the other Star Fox game for the 3DS. Yes, you're right. That was reviewed poorly.
Yeah, just a curious move, and certainly, the naysayers out there, well, Sony announces games, but they come out so far away. Why do they even bother? Well, it just goes to show you it happens on both sides. It's not something that's exclusive to Sony. Here we are, Microsoft announced 4 games at E3 2014, and none of them are coming out. I think it just happens all around, and you just got to deal with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad. Everybody seems to lose. I mean, people lose money, and the gamers lose because, they're never going to get their hands on it. And, there has to be people out there that saw Scalebound and was like, well, shit, that seals the deal. I want to get an Xbox One. There's probably a lot of angry people.
What they showed us at E3 2014 looked okay to decent. It was just one character riding a dinosaur, and sure, he had beats on his head. That was okay, but once they came back to that Gamescom footage, where they started to show multiplayer, 4 people, no one had any idea what was going on screen. The kid, I don't even think the person could play the game, right? Isn't that the one demo where the guy was totally fucking it up? He had no idea what he was doing.
Probably.
I vaguely remember that. It was just an utter train wreck, and I think ever since then, it's just gone downhill.
Well, it probably wasn't even ready for a demo. That's why.
Right. All right. Well, let's. That's all the news we had. We have a couple quick listener questions, and then we'll get out of your hair. This is a hard-hitting question from Holy Goalie, otherwise known as Gamer Goalie on Twitter. He wants to know what is sauce and what is gravy. Now, Corey, are you of Italian descent at all, or no?
Not really at all, but I'm not going to lie. When I saw that this question was on the docket, I really thought about it for quite a while. I put in-depth thought. And my stipulation, I think, is will it go on mashed potato? That's the stipulation. Gravy, if it's going to go on mashed potato, gravy. If it's not going to go on mashed potato, sauce. Granted, you could put marinara sauce or barbecue sauce on mashed potato, but that's fucking weird. That's away from the norm. So gravy is meant to go on mashed potatoes, fried chicken. That's where I draw the line.
And that's, the norm, and that's something certainly that I 100% agree with. There are some old school Italians out there that call sauce gravy. Now listen, my grandfather has a name that is so Italian, you wouldn't even believe it if I said it. But we never called sauce gravy. Sauce was sauce, gravy was gravy.
Is it like ravioli Mahoney?
I would not disclose this over the air, Corey, but it is pretty close to that.
Okay, good.
I'm not even going to lie to you. Let's see. We have another question here from Bucks Sugar Free on Twitter. What do you think of the battle pack and progression system in Battlefield 1? Me, it's kind of lacking and need more rewards. So Corey's never played Battlefield 1 to my knowledge, right?
No, this is all you, man.
So the battle pack thing I think is random. I don't think there's any sort of like, hey, I did this in game and now I'm getting a battle pack. And those battle packs, to my knowledge, are just sort of like skins. There might be some other stuff in there, but it's always like at the end of a match, did I get a battle pack? Did I get one? And then I get it, and then it's like a skin for a pistol, and I'm like, wah, wah. So I don't think the battle packs are that great. The progression system seems to take very long, and I am not one of those guys when I play shooters that I try out a zillion guns. I find one or two guns that work for me, and I'm good to go for the rest of the game. And so I have played a lot of time in Battlefield, and I have plenty of war bonds that I could go out and buy new guns, and I have, and I never feel like they're as good as the default gun that I got for the class that I like. So that's one thing. And the progression system on how you level up like your medic or you level up your assault guy, I think it's pretty slow. It's a different measuring system than your overall character's level. I would agree. And I think how to look at that information inside of the game is very convoluted. It's like they do a way better job with it on the app than they do in-game, which sort of frustrates me. But
that's what I was going to ask. Like, because I remember Battlefield 4 had a pretty good companion app. So you could outfit your different loadouts via the companion app. How is the companion app for Battlefield 1?
Yeah, it's along those lines. It's decent.
Yeah.
It's certain, like I said, much better than in-game stuff. And the last question here from Devious Mr. Matt of the 40cast. This is a, would you say, in-depth question.
Yeah, is pretty, it's a pretty all-encompassing question.
Why do you guys game, and what draws you to it? So why don't you take that, Corey?
There's the obvious escapism. Everyone's going to say that. It's a way, like, I don't have many other hobbies, just like Mike said earlier, and it's a good way to escape into something. It's like you go on an adventure. You're going to play this game, that game. You're going to be this character or that character. But in addition to that, number one, it's kind of a sneaky way for me to kind of still play with my toys. That's socially acceptable, even though I'm a 35-year-old guy. Like me playing with G.I. Joes is going to look frowned upon. But I can still play Gears of War 4, and it's kind of socially acceptable. So that's one. And the second one is I've talked about this before, but I definitely have like mild OCD. I still have quite a few OCD tendencies. I managed to overcome a lot of it since I've gotten older. But I like the fact that most games are essentially present you with a problem and then a world with a set of rules to solve that problem. And a game allows me to find a problem, and seeing as how I've been playing games for 30 years, I know the language of video games. It allows me to solve that problem, and it's just very cut and dry, black and white. Here's a problem. I have solved it. You can't do that in real life. Real life problems don't have black and white solutions. So I think I enjoy the soothing nature of being able to be like, here's a problem. I can solve it. Like Portal and Portal 2. Those games were very soothing to me that I could just sit down, be presented with a problem, and overcome it. I felt very accomplished. Same with games like the Talos Principle. So I think that's one of the reasons I game is just I enjoy the problem solving.
I don't know if I can quite answer that so in depth like you. I don't know if I've thought it through like that. I just think part of it's just ingrained with me. So my uncle used to work like IBM way back, and we used to get like different computer parts to make a computer. So like my early memories of gaming is playing like on the big 5.5-inch floppies. Certainly the Atari was in the house then, and the NES. So
what did he have? What was? It was an old IBM computer. Did you guys have do you ever have like Commodore 64, like stuff like that?
No, just to my knowledge, it was just a PC, like a DOS prompt, and you had to like put in like the drive that you wanted, like the drive with the like the path, like the root path to the game. Yeah.
What were some of those early games? Do you remember right offhand?
Dig Dug and Bird versus Dr. J.
Bird versus Dr. J. I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah, Larry. So Bird versus
Oh, yes.
Larry, yeah. So I used to love breaking the backboard. Yeah. I'm sure there was tons. My brother had like this huge container full of 5.5-inch floppies with all sorts of games on them. But, I was like, I don't know, somewhere between 4 and 8 years old, maybe.
Yeah, so, I had a Commodore 64 for a while, and we had the big floppies that you'd put in. And you'd have to turn the key thing on the outside to keep the disc in. And I had a text-based Spider-Man game that I never got anywhere in, but I loved because it was a Spider-Man game. So you would just tell Spider-Man walk north, go left, and 9 times out of 10 he was like, Spider-Man can't do that because it was a shitty text adventure game. But I remember playing the shit out of some Commodore 64 games.
Yeah. So those were things that were just part of my childhood. So I think if I had to think about Matt's question and come up with an answer, I think so. I like to keep those memories alive. So I keep playing games because I sort of go back to those happy memories. And then I just think it's, the entertainment, things that I cannot achieve in my day-to-day life. Like you mentioned, I don't have any interest in guns. Right, I know some guys on the show here have guns. I think everybody probably does except me. I don't like guns. I don't want to shoot guns, but I can shoot them here in these things. So I get my satisfaction that way, right? I certainly played a lot of sports as a kid, and I watch sports still to this day. So I like to play the sports games. That keeps me, interested in what I watch on TV. And then I like a good story, right? So it's an entertainment factor. I like, Uncharted, the Dead Spaces, Witcher 3, Fallout. Give me a good story with good gameplay, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, I can't beat a good story. Still to this day, when you get a really good narrative in a game, it's tough to beat.
Yeah, and then also I think if Jay was here, he would say the community aspect, right? It brings people like us together, whether we do, started out just being at PAX to playing online to now doing a podcast, right? So you never know where the relationships take you either.
True.
Good questions from everybody, and thanks for sending them in. Of course, if you have anything you'd like us to discuss on upcoming shows, you can email us at gamersinbeta@gmail.com, or you can tweet at us at gamersinbeta. But let's wrap this up. This went on longer than I thought 2 people could talk. So any plugs, Corey?
Quick plugs. I personally don't have anything going up. I'm a features writer at BigOGames.com. I personally don't have anything going up, but I'm a contributor to an article that's going up soon about it's underrated games of 2016, and I mentioned The Flame of the Flood, and I go on about that for a little while about why I think you should go back and play it. I have an article I'm in the middle of writing about the Switch right now, but I don't want to say too much about that. And I'm also the social media manager, coordinator, whatever you want to call it, for Big O Games. So follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're actually running a contest right now that probably will be over by the time this goes up for Assassin's Creed Chronicles China. Free code for that on Steam. But we do giveaways like that every Friday. So follow us, and you'll be eligible to check those out. So that's probably it for me.
Cool. Let's see, typical stuff. New 40 Cast is out. New Dad's Getting Grounded is out. Go check out those guys. I listened to a lot of podcasts over the last 2 weeks, so I'm getting back into that. If there's something you think I should be listening to out there, please send it my way. It doesn't always have to be gaming. I told these guys that I got into that What the Fuck Pod, WTF Pod, with Mark Marone. I really enjoyed some of his interviews with people like Springsteen and Ron Perlman and James Hetfield. So
Mark Maron.
Is that how you pronounce it? Maron?
Maron, yeah.
Maron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been listening to that. That's really he's an out there guy. Over 700 episodes, right?
Yeah,
he's been doing that since 2009. He said.
Yeah, I when I stopped really listening to Howard and started getting into podcasts, his one of the first ones I got into. He's a really great interviewer. Highly recommend, especially if you're like a comedy nerd and you're into stand-up comedy and stuff. There's a few that are just classic that you really should listen to. The one with Louis C.K. is really, really good. There's one with the Carlos Mencia, which is.
I'll have to find out how to get them because on iTunes, at least on your phone, it only shows you the last 100.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, because he has such a backlog.
Yeah. But yeah, good stuff. Enjoyed everybody's work out there. The Everyday Gamers had their awards show, which was good.
The Edgies, right? And they call them Edgies.
Edgies, right.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. Who wants to play the role of Jay? You want to do that, Corey?
Sure. I've never done it before. I'd be honored. So Until next time, same beta time. Yeah, wow, I fucked it up already. Jay, we need you back. Same beta time, same beta channel, and hopefully we'll have less sick people and more people here to talk. See ya.
Let us pray, let us pray, let us pray.
Idea. There is a program that can turn text into audio, right? How about a segment during the show called the Twitter Chat Outtakes? 'Cause we definitely lose so much gold on here. Laugh out loud. Halo sucks, such a garbage FPS. Granted, I haven't tried it since the first one, but I fucking hated it. I was heavily into PC FPS at that point too, so the bar was already set. Going to a controller, the worst controller, fuck the Duke, to play an FPS, and going back to console graphics when I was playing CS on a good computer, it was destined to fail. Plus having to do split screen, and I think by default the aim was inverted. Fuck, I hate Halo, ha 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 ha.